Favoritism towards lighter skin tones causes controversy from India to Africa. We explore shadism with Indian actor Nandita Das. Hello, I'm Nathan King in for Anand Naidu, and this is The Heat. Hello. The skin lightening industry in India has grown to more than $500 million, even though the country passed laws restricting ads for skin lightening creams a few years ago. Advertisements featuring the brightest stars in India encourage women to lighten up, to get jobs, win men and be successful. Skin lightening is big business in India. According to the World Health Organization, more than 60% of skincare products sold in India are skin lighteners. And one needn't look further than India's bustling Bollywood film industry to see India's skin tone preferences. As the face of India's biggest movies, fair-skinned actors are plastered all over the country and movie screens. Indian television network NDTV tackled the issue in an episode of the hidden camera show, What's Your Choice?
Have you seen my brother? He's so fair and nice. You look like a dust on him. What is this happening?
The cafe goers stood up for the dark-skinned woman.
Please, this is really not public. Yeah, it's not
No, yes, I understand, but it's
really ugly.
no. This is
Can you not do this fair white?
Would you get married to a black man, or would you get?
Highlights pervasive prejudice in Indian culture. So-called dusky women just aren't considered desirable. But a campaign in India called Dark is Beautiful wants to change that mindset. Activists hope to draw attention to the unjust effects of skin colour bias and celebrate beauty and diversity of all skin tones. They hope by highlighting the negative effects, they can change the culture in India.
Let's celebrate 1.2 billion shades of beautiful.
Say no to skin color discrimination. Dark is beautiful.
Joining me now is award-winning Indian director and actor Nandita Das. Nandita is an outspoken activist for that Dark is Beautiful campaign. Nandita, thanks so much for joining us. It's an honour. Why is India so obsessed with this light is good, dark is bad sort of mentality? Where does all this come from?
I don't think it's only an Indian phenomena. I think it's in many parts of the world. It's in Africa, it's in Latin America, it's in various countries in Southeast Asia. I don't know whether one can blame the colonization and the Western world's dominance on, defining what is beauty and therefore being light-skinned. You call it light-skinned, here we call it fair, as if that is the fairer thing. And you call dark skin pale, but we really call it dark and black and all of that. So I think this obsession, I don't know, is it to do with caste system? Is it to do with colonization? Is it something that's just existed for centuries? But I know that it has just gotten from bad to worse. And I think I say that because there are far more products now than there were when I was younger. And I don't know whether they're just the products and the marketing companies, all these are they just cashing on the existing prejudice and making an extra buck, or it's just that with time, with globalization, with more consciousness about how one looks, that it has gotten worse.
Some people would say these creams are just a sort of cosmetic and it's up to a woman or to make an individual choice. What would you say to that?
Well, I don't think it's only about that. I mean, the corollary or what you would relate to is that I'm sure in the Western world, white women want to be tanned. But it's not the same thing because it's not just another beauty product. If it was like a lipstick or even a hair dye where you want to look young, it's one thing. Here being dark or the obsession with fairness is really associated with what you think of yourself. It's connected to almost your self-esteem. Because from the time you're a child, you're constantly being told you're dark and therefore you're not good enough. If you see all the ads, they're not about just saying that, okay, you become lighter skinned and you look beautiful. I would still say that it's right or wrong, but it's a beauty product. But here, all the ads would say, if you're dark, you're not going to get a job. if you're dark, you're not going to get a lover, you're not going to get a husband. So it's all connected to who you are. And can you imagine in a country which is 90% dark, is my skin color, is actually made to feel small, made to feel unworthy, made to feel that you're just not good enough. And that is the big problem.
So is that true, that the lighter you are, the more opportunities you get in Indian society?
Sadly, yes. I mean, in as much as generalizations work, but yes, largely I would say, and it's not only with, say, being an actor or being a model or even being a news reader or anything that requires you to look sort of good, whatever, look beautiful, whatever that definition may be. It's now entered all kinds of jobs, even where you're not seen. I mean, people have done studies here where you have a dark girl and you have a lighter skinned girl for the same job, which doesn't require you to be beautiful. There are good chances that the girl with the lighter skin will get the job. I mean, I personally, because of having supported this campaign, I have experienced so many stories that people have come and shared with me. I myself know that when I called up a house help agency where, you know, the woman who comes and cleans the house, as we are fortunate to have it here, which is, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad, because it's probably a modern day slavery. But when you call up a house help agency and they tell you, oh, well, we have one, but she's really dark, would you take her? You know, I mean, it's just such a bizarre, it's gone to some crazy heights. And I think the Western world is also complicit in this, because if you see all the big products that you have, you know, which have their roots in France and Germany and England and then America and Australia and all the Western white world, so to say, they all have now a whitening line. So it's not that there are only Indian products, because they just see an opportunity, they see a market, and they want to make the best of it.
So you've signed up to this Dark is Beautiful campaign. You're one of its biggest spokespeople. Why did you do it, and what change are you affecting through that?
You know, I mean, to be honest, women's issues for me were the ones that had much stronger impact, in the sense basic inequality between men and women, that's part of patriarchy. It was about sexual abuse, it was about domestic violence, it was about female feticide. These were some of the issues that I was working more deeply on. When I got approached by this organization called Women of Worth, and this lady called Kavita Emanuel, when she called me up for this campaign, I thought, I mean, it is an important issue, and I thought I'll just support it. I'll give them a quote and a photograph, and that's all was needed. And I was shocked how it went viral. I did not think that this was going to be one of the sort of big issues that I was going to be championing, or that by default I will become the face of this campaign. But it just completely resonated with a whole lot of people. I think it had touched a very raw nerve. I didn't think it was a standalone issue, because I am very fortunate that my parents did not put this complex in me as a child or in my growing up years. But so many people are affected in such deeper ways, I think was a bit of a revelation even for me. Having known that this issue existed, having talked about it, but as one of the many things that one supports. But I realized later, when I supported this campaign, that this was much bigger than what I had imagined. And therefore, by default, many of the people think that I started this campaign, but, you know, I'm just a supporter of it. But I just said, a lot of the actors, female actors especially, are light-skinned. Even those who were sort of darker comparatively in their first film have progressively become lighter and lighter with every film, because of the demand and because of the pressures of what they think is beautiful. And that's why, by default, I have become the face of the campaign.
So how do you push back then against Bollywood and other Indian institutions that affect this sort of lightning as you go on through your career? How do you change that?
It's not an easy thing, because it's a very deep-seated prejudice. It's something that's really, like I said, has been there. Even when I was a small child, I remember some uncle or aunt would say, don't go out in the sun, you will become darker. Or, you know, these days kids are really especially urban, upper class or elite kids are deficient in vitamin D, because their parents don't want, not even actually upper class, middle class, across class, they don't want to send them out in the sun, you know, because they will become dark. They don't want to send them to swimming classes because they'll become dark. Therefore, they're deficient in vitamin D. So it is a huge problem, and it's not going to sort of be turned around just by a campaign, but one can just create that awareness. At least the question has come into the public domain. There is a council that sets up, rules and regulations for advertisements. They have made stricter regulations for fairness creams and fairness products. So that's a good thing. There are some ads now, very few, but at least they've started coming, which are addressing this issue or which are taking darker girls in their ads. But it's still on the surface. But I think at least the journey has begun. It's going to take some time, but I'm stopped literally in events on the street sometimes where people come up to me and say, thank you so much for supporting this campaign. It's given me, some strength. It's made me feel that everything isn't lost for me. So I think in small baby steps, it's towards the right direction, I would say.
So is Bollywood taking on board what you're saying, or are they pushing back, or is it business as usual?
Well, it's pretty much business as usual, to be honest. I mean, there are still enough big superstars, both men and women, who are campaigning, who are endorsing these products. But that's so much about economics. And, it's not up to me or anybody to tell them what to do. They're aware of what it does, how detrimental it is. It's sad some of the darker actors who came in, who had a sort of more brown skin, have also supported this kind of a campaign. They've put in loads of makeup or done surgery or whatever. So it's sad, but they have to find their own place and they have to do it when they think it's right. But at least people are getting more and more aware. And we are seeing that in some of the films, that there is lesser makeup or there are darker women who are getting a little bit of a place. Men have had it slightly easier. There have been darker men who have still made it to Bollywood. But I doubt if there are any women, literally any women, any woman who has actually remained comparatively darker in films. They've just always progressively become darker. In independent cinema, you would see a lot more darker skinned women. But, that's kind of pushed to the side. Independent cinema has seen something that's for festivals and that's for sort of more alternate markets. But in mainstream Bollywood, fair is still what sort of, rules the game.
Is it geographical? Because India is sort of main population centres and political power is in the north. And people in the south tend to be darker. Is that part of it, or also the caste system too?
Yes, I think both overlap. That largely people in the south are darker, although there are sort of pockets where they are very light skinned, they have light eyes, them like Mangalore and a couple of other places. Also, like you said, it's a caste thing, because people who were the lower caste, they worked in the sun, so they're genetically, they are darker skinned. People who were the upper caste, especially the Brahmins, who are the uppermost caste, they were the learned people, they were supposed to be the priests, so they had to, they were in the houses, in their homes, in the temples or whatever, so therefore they are lighter skinned. So it does overlap even with class in many ways, because those who have more money, they're buying all these products, they're able to afford surgeries, and there are lots of these laser clinics which are sort of mushrooming everywhere, which promise you that in 7 days will make you light, or in one sitting will make you light. It's really, if you look at the matrimonial ads, sadly that hasn't changed in the last 20 years, that I sometimes see them just to see if there are any differences in trends. And in matrimonial ads, it's always fair and lovely, homely, convent educated, those typical kind of things are always there. And fair and lovely is definitely, it's become almost like a tag. It's a product that came out in the early 70s, but now there are hundreds and hundreds. You almost cannot find a skin product that does not have a lightening component to it. It doesn't have to be a cream. It can be a face wash. How ridiculous is that? That something that you put on your face for 20 seconds is going to make you lighter. It's got, these waxing or whatever, like hair removing creams, underarm creams, moisturizers, even vagina washes, I believe, now have things that make you sort of lighter, your private parts, so that your husband can love you more, or some insane kind of ads that have come up. So it's really, it's gone to some crazy heights, but hopefully slowly and steadily we're trying to reverse it in our small little way.
Nandita Das, thanks so much for joining us and highlighting this really important issue of shadism. Thanks so much. We have to take a break right now. Coming up, despite controversy, millions of women worldwide do lighten their skin. We'll talk to one woman who says they should be empowered to do so. Next on The Heat. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're talking about shadism, a form of discrimination favouring lighter skin tones to darker ones. Across Africa, millions of women take measures to lighten their skin. In the West African nation of Côte d'Ivoire, skin lightening creams are banned, but many women have found ways around that ban, and the products are still widely used.
I like fair skin tones. I like them. I don't want to blacken. I just don't want to.
Doctors warn of long-term complications of bleaching skin.
The infectious complications can be easily treated, but the complications such as diabetes, hypertension, renal failure, these complications are so severe, the patients will need lifelong follow-ups.
There are things that are forbidden to sell today that I still see on the market. Personally, I see that regulations are not enough. We also need to educate people.
But across the continent, Nigeria tops the list of women who use skin lightening creams. According to the World Health Organization, more than 75% of women there admit to using such products. In Togo, nearly 60% of women use these creams, and 35% of South African women say they lighten their skin. To explore the skin lightening industry in Africa, Neo Beverly Mabita joins us from Johannesburg. She's the founder of the Yellow Bone Factory, a lifestyle and cosmetics company in South Africa. Thanks so much, Bev, for joining us. Really appreciate it. I was stunned by this factor that some 35% of women in South Africa use skin lightening creams. Why is this?
Thank you so much for having me, and hello to everyone and all your guests. You ask a very interesting question, but I think that people just don't think about the fact that skin lightening is not very far removed from the procedures that people do to change their weight profile, for an example, or to change the way their hair looks. All beauty procedures are just an effort on the part of the individual who undergoes them to reinterpret themselves in a different way. So the fact that 30% of women in South Africa use skin lightening products just says that very fact, that 30% of women in South Africa feel that if they had a different kind of complexion, they would feel a different way about themselves.
Beverly, you're in South Africa, and the critics might say that's really kind of naive, considering the history of colour and race in South Africa.
I think that there is a large misconception between the relationship of skin lightening and race or whiteness. I've never had anybody walk into my office and say to me, I want to look white. It always begins with a desire to maybe remove a blemish or return to an original complexion, or just to look different, but never to to go across race lines to the extent to be something that you authentically are not. It's not a matter of consciousness or issues about race and a person's identity with whatever race group they come from. It's purely a cosmetic and aesthetic procedure. That's why I liken it to weight loss or changing your hair. That's exactly what it is, except with our company, the results that you get are irreversible.
Just let me follow that, though. You say you empower women in their choices, and everyone's obviously for empowerment of women, but so many women who are darker want to be lighter. So where's that sense of need coming from?
I think that for the point of view that we speak about empowering women with our company is giving women choices. We come from a country where it's easy to tell from just looking at a woman what generation she comes from and what skin lightening products she may have used on her skin. And that is what spurred us to start a line of skin lightening products which would be safe, and which in the years to come people wouldn't be able to look at the signs of damage on your skin and tell what products you were using. So the fact of the matter is that skin lightening is something that's deeply ingrained in every culture. It's not in the South African experience alone or in the American experience alone. In every culture in the world, there's just a desire on the part of women to have flawless skin. Now, what extreme or degree of lightness you want to term your flawless skin is an individual choice, and that's exactly the empowerment that we offer to women and men across the world, to say to them, if this is what you want to do, here's a safe way to do it.
The numbers are quite incredible. In Nigeria, 77% of women use it. Across Africa and Asia as well, high percentages as well. Is it safe? Because there are doctors that have said that this industry is basically unregulated and that there is no way to actually reverse permanently pigmentation. As your skin rejuvenates, so does your pigmentation. So there are worries that this unregulated market could actually lead to a lot of health side effects for women.
Okay, the products that we use don't contain the elements like hydroquinone and cortisone and mercury and lead, which first of all you need to be a registered pharmacist or dermatologist to dispense to people. The ingredients that we use to make our products are mostly organic. Like I say, we use glutathione, we use arbutin, we use ascorbic acid, we use kojic acid. Most of the ingredients that we use are substances that are available to be used and are pretty safe in terms of the record that they have for skin lightening over a prolonged period. We don't offer quick fix solutions. We offer treatments to our clients, treatments that take into consideration the fact that the skin is an organ that is constantly regenerating, and in order to affect the pigment agents in your skin, you need to work on it over time, and you need to work on it with the knowledge that the skin is continuously regenerating.
Can I ask you why you called your company Yellowbone? Because for people watching, Yellowbone is associated with hip-hop, a term for lighter-skinned black people. And there's a lot of lighter-skinned black women, very attractive in videos that perhaps young women want to emulate. They want to seem more attractive to men. Is that why you're targeting this audience with that name?
Well, my understanding of the term yellowbone is not necessarily a woman who's a particular complexion, but a woman who takes care of herself in a particular way.
But it has been used in that context quite widely, here in the United States, in South Africa, elsewhere.
Granted, for us, that's just semantics. We understand the yellowbone just to be a woman who takes pride in her appearance, and not just a woman, by the way, any person who takes pride in their appearance and working at it and understanding that you have the leverage and the power to look the way that you desire, whether it's temporarily or for the rest of your life. And the term Yellowbone Factory speaks to that. It's a space in which you're allowed to literally choose what it is that you want to look like, and we can offer you the tools that can assist you to get there.
Okay, you're in South Africa, and I brought this a little bit up before, I want to go deeper. Black consciousness globally grew out of the apartheid movement largely. There was a huge push in the 70s and 80s to consider black beautiful as the struggle continued against apartheid. Some people think that what you're introducing is somehow betraying that. They're trying to encourage people to be lighter than they are, that African men, sometimes in South Africa, like lighter women. You're playing into insecurities of women. All this sort of race issue is highlighted by what you're selling. That's what the critics are saying.
My personal opinion on that is that that is just an attempt to take political rhetoric and put it in a space that it doesn't belong, and to put a spin on that. As a black woman, I believe that it's my prerogative to look the way that I want to, and no other woman should be put into a box that says that because you are of this race, this is what you will look like. Women in all other races explore all sorts of things. They tan, they lighten their skin, they straighten their hair, they curl their hair, they put extensions into their hair, and nobody ever gives them issue about that. But when it comes to the black woman and her deciding what she wants to look like, it seems as if society believes that they have a space to sort of make comments in terms of, no, you can't look that light, no, you can't look that bodacious, and that is not necessarily progressive or helpful.
But Beverly, but that doesn't go explain the backlash when sort of famous singers in South Africa come out and say we use skin lightening products, famous models, people like that. There's a huge backlash sometimes in social media, in the media, about this. That doesn't necessarily just mean individual empowerment. There's something in society going on here, right?
I think that people have like I say, the propensity to just politicize things that really don't need to be politicized. The decisions that people make about their bodies and the way that they look is entirely their idea and their prerogative. We can't sit back and be armchair critics about how people want to look. Yes, we come from a country which is got racial tentacles all over the place, but that doesn't mean that as a woman you should be dictated to in terms of how far you should take what you call beautification methods.
Neo Beverly Mobita, thanks so much for joining us. That's all we have time for, but the conversation does continue online. For articles, videos and unique online content, visit our website at cctv-america.com, and we're always available on our social media channels. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and Weibo. You can find those links on our website. I'm Nathan King in Washington DC, and thanks so much for being with us.